year was 2024, and Jimmy Donaldson had done something no content creator had ever achieved before. He'd built an empire worth over $100 million, all from giving money away. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. This 26-year-old from North Carolina had cracked the code of modern philanthropy, turning generosity into the most profitable business model on the internet. But empires built on spectacle have a way of crumbling under their own weight. What started as a teenager in his bedroom counting to 100,000 had evolved into something far more complex. MrBeast wasn't just a YouTuber anymore. He was a corporation, a brand, a machine that consumed millions of dollars every month just to keep the cameras rolling. And like all machines pushed to their limits, cracks were beginning to show. The first signs weren't obvious. How could they be when every video still pulled in tens of millions of views? When every philanthropic stunt generated headlines across major news networks? When brands were lining up to pay astronomical sums just to be associated with his name? The formula seemed bulletproof. Take an impossible challenge, add life-changing amounts of money, film it with Hollywood-level production values, and watch the views pour in. Subscribers multiplied like compound interest. Revenue streams diversified from YouTube ad money into merchandise, restaurants, candy bars, and business ventures that most people couldn't even pronounce. Behind the scenes, though, the operation had grown into something unrecognizable from those early days. What once required a handful of friends now demanded teams of dozens. Productions that used to cost thousands now burned through millions. The pressure to constantly escalate, to make each video bigger and more expensive than the last, had created a beast that demanded constant feeding. The turning point came when ambition collided with reality in the most public way possible. Beast Games was supposed to be Jimmy's masterpiece. A game show with a $5 million prize featuring over 1,000 contestants, filmed with the production budget of a major motion picture. It was meant to prove that YouTube creators could compete with traditional television networks on their own terms. Instead, it became the moment when the carefully constructed image began to fracture. Contestants came forward with stories that painted a very different picture of what happened behind the cameras. Allegations of unsafe conditions, inadequate medical care, and treatment that fell far short of the values MrBeast claimed to represent started surfacing across social media platforms. The lawsuits followed quickly. Not just one or two disgruntled participants, but organized legal action claiming systematic negligence. Suddenly, the man who had built his reputation on making dreams come true was facing accusations that he had turned those dreams into nightmares for hundreds of people. The empire that Jimmy had built on the foundation of helping others was now under siege from those very people he claimed to serve. Former employees began speaking out about working conditions that contradicted the wholesome image projected to millions of subscribers. Stories emerged of grueling schedules, impossible deadlines, and a culture where the content always came first, regardless of human cost. The Lunchley controversy struck at the heart of his business diversification strategy. What was marketed as a healthier alternative to existing lunch products became embroiled in accusations of false advertising and questionable nutritional claims. Health experts questioned whether the man who had positioned himself as a force for good was now putting profits ahead of the well-being of his young audience. But perhaps most damaging was the growing perception that authenticity had been sacrificed on the altar of scale. The spontaneous acts of kindness that had originally captivated audiences now felt calculated, manufactured for maximum viral impact. Critics began dissecting videos frame by frame, pointing out how reactions seemed scripted, how recipients appeared to be chosen more for their photogenic qualities than their actual need. The mathematics of modern content creation had created an impossible equation. Each video needed to outperform the last. Each act of generosity had to be more spectacular. Each production more expensive. The machine Jimmy had created demanded constant growth, but growth built on human emotion and genuine surprise had natural limits. Social media erupted with hashtags questioning everything. Former fans posted compilation videos highlighting inconsistencies in his storytelling. Financial analysts began questioning the sustainability of a business model that required spending millions to make millions. The very transparency that had once been his greatest asset now worked against him as every decision faced public scrutiny. The irony was suffocating. The creator who had revolutionized online philanthropy, who had inspired countless others to give back to their communities, now found himself defending his motives and methods. The empire built on trust was discovering just how fragile that foundation could be when subjected to the relentless pressure of maintaining impossible standards in an unforgiving digital landscape. Forgiving digital landscape. The story of MrBeast serves as a cautionary tale about what happens when good intentions collide with the relentless demands of digital fame. Jimmy Donaldson set out to change the world through acts of kindness, and in many ways he succeeded beyond anyone's wildest imagination. He fed thousands, housed families, and inspired a generation of creators to use their platforms for good. But somewhere along the journey from bedroom to boardroom, the mission became entangled with the machine. The boy who once counted to 100,000 for 40 hours straight had grown into a CEO managing hundreds of employees and millions in revenue. The personal touch that made his early videos so compelling had been replaced by corporate efficiency and calculated emotional manipulation. Today, Jimmy Donaldson stands at a crossroads. His empire remains intact, his subscriber count continues to climb, and his influence shows no signs of waning. But the questions raised by recent controversies refuse to disappear. Can authentic generosity exist at industrial scale? Is it possible to maintain genuine human connection when every interaction is filmed for millions to see? And perhaps most importantly, what responsibility do we bear as an audience for demanding ever more spectacular displays of wealth and kindness? The cracks in the MrBeast empire may heal. Lawsuits may settle and controversies may fade from memory. But the fundamental tension between authenticity and scale, between helping people and creating content, between being human and being a brand, remains unresolved. In the end, Jimmy Donaldson's greatest challenge may not be creating the next viral video, but remembering the person he was before the cameras started rolling.